Welcome. And going to call this meeting to order. This is a regular meeting of the Humboldt Unified School District Governing Board. Welcome, everyone. Let's do our Pledge of Allegiance, please. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm trying to decide how long it's going to take me to stop looking there when I stand up. No, there. Okay. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Good evening, President Adler,
Here.
Board Member Wolcott,
Here.
Board Member Ruwald,
Here.
Board Member Roth,
Here.
Board Member Maison.
Here.
We have a quorum. Have a great meeting.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is our agenda review and acceptance. Are there any changes to the agenda, Madam Superintendent?
No, there are no changes.
No changes. Okay. Board members, then we need a motion on the agenda.
I move we accept the agenda as presented.
Second. We have a motion by Mrs. Roth, a second by Mr. Ruwald. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to current events. Board members, do we have anything to discuss that we've taken part of in the last month?
I just have two shout outs actually. So first one is the Prescott Valley Little League Juniors team took second place at state. And so it's comprised of incoming freshmen and sophomores. And so I think that hopefully if they foster it well over there, the AD and the coach, that softball team can win state within the next couple of years. So it's actually pretty cool. We lost to Goodyear, who is a team coached by Tim Raines, who is a Hall of Famer MLB player. So, I mean, we made it all the way. So it was pretty cool. And then secondly, I have an email from Dr. Dellinger, and she just wanted to give public recognition to Miss Jennifer Medina, or excuse me, Dr. Jennifer Medina, and all of the HUSD ESL staff, particularly the teachers at the high school, as well as the science teacher who has been proactive on making his class accessible to his non-English speakers. She didn't remember his name, but she just wanted to give kudos to them all and just share her appreciation. So,
Very nice. Thank you. Thank you very much. Anyone else have anything to share? Just real quick, I don't have really anything except for I did get the chance to take a quick tour of our new district offices over at the former Glassford Hill Middle School. Thank you, Danny, for showing me around. It is going to be amazing. I love it. But I also especially want to give kudos to all the people that have put in so much work to make that happen. And I know that there's more to be done, but it's looking great. And so many people have put in so many hours to do that. It's really coming together. So thank you to everyone who's put in the time so far for that. All right, Madam Superintendent.
Yes, thank you. So I was recently invited to speak on Talk with the Town hosted by Marnie Yule, and that's always a fun opportunity. I'm excited to announce that we will reinstate our monthly spotlight on HUSD, providing regular updates and insights into our district's initiatives and achievements. We are eagerly preparing for the beginning of the school year. The kids are back on August 1st. Our new teachers are all back the week of July 22nd. All teachers return on July 29th. And we have a district-wide PD for all teachers on Project Momentum, and that is on July 30th. So we're looking forward to a very productive and successful year.
Awesome. Thank you. Next is our public participation, and I don't have any yellow cards. Is that correct? That's correct. Okay. All right. Well, just so everybody knows, we do have a public participation section at every regular board meeting, and we welcome public comment. And all you need to do is fill out a yellow card, which is located at the back of the room when you walk in, and submit that to our executive assistant, and we'll get that public comment on the schedule. Thank you very much. Moving on to consent items. I believe we don't have any gifts and donations this month. Very unusual. We thank the community for all of the gifts and donations that we get all the time, though, very much. And so with that, unless someone wants to discuss something separately off of the consent agenda, we would need a motion on the consent items.
I move to approve all of the consent items as presented.
Second.
A motion by Mrs. Walcott, a second by Mrs. Roth. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to discussion. Discussion item 6A, update on organizational chart for Humboldt Unified School District, and that will be Dr. Christine Griffin.
Well, I'm excited to bring to you an updated organizational chart. I had hoped that all of our leadership team would be here tonight so I could introduce and celebrate everyone, but we have about half of us here, so I'll bring it back next month as well so we can finish up with everybody on here. I just wanted to give you an opportunity to see who's who in the district. So our Director of Educational Services, Katrina Kata will be here next month with her team. Right now, they're in Las Vegas learning about visible learning. Our Director of Federal Programs, Kate Johansson. Executive Director of Operations and HR, Mr. Dahl. We have our Chief Financial Officer, Mike Tannehill. Director of Special Services, Liz Rushton, will introduce her and her team next month as well. And our Director of Information and Technology, Linda Head. Is she here tonight? Nope, next month as well. All right, and so I would love to introduce our principals and assistant principals. At Coyote Springs Elementary School, we have Michelle McCabe and Pam Clark. Yay. Will you guys stand when I call your name just so the board can see? All right.
I'm sorry we didn't clap for the first reading. We
Yes.
should clap for everybody. I was trying to decide, clap first, clap second.
Yes.
Let's just clap each for everybody. Okay. here
All
we
right,
go.
Granville Elementary School, Patricia Scarpa and Andy Busk. At Humboldt Elementary School, Melissa Tannehill and Jennifer Kahn. At Lake Valley Elementary School, we have Brandon O'Neill and Christina, I don't have her name on me, Gabelgon, yes. Thank you. Mountain View Elementary School, we have Kim Grant and Cindy Dahl. Bradshaw Mountain Middle School, we have Sam Opperman and Jamie Gargis. At Pronghorn Ridge Middle School, we have our assistant principal here, Misty Wilson. Bradshaw Mountain High School, Rick Bradshaw, Jantina Russell, Clarenda Weatherwax, and Dante Edmondson. We are super excited about this leadership team and the changes they're going to bring to HUSD. All right, Miss Kate Johansson oversees Jamie Tisdale, our Family and Community Engagement Coordinator. All right. And then we will do all of 4 of those next month. And is Jedi here? Nope. Okay. All right, so then we'll do the last 2 pages next month. That's a good start, right?
Good start,
Okay.
good start, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I want to say on behalf of the board, of course, and board members, please speak about it if you'd like, but on behalf of the board, I really especially just want to welcome all of the new folks that are in new positions. Many of those folks are not new to HUSD, but they're new in their positions. And especially the fact that we now have assistant principals. Yay. That is a huge step forward for our district. It really is. I know that it's been something that has been really needed for a while now. It's going to make a huge difference, I believe, in the leadership at the schools, in the ability of the principals to really be the instructional leaders at the schools, and to, make sure that we have a good climate and culture at all of our schools. So I really understand that myself. And I'm so excited that we're there and we're doing it, and we have really strong leadership, it feels like to me. So thank you all for stepping up into those roles. Appreciate it. Susie Roth.
I would just echo all of that, but I also want to add that it's so nice to see after all these years that in place, but it's also really nice to see a homegrown leadership being put into place throughout the district, whatever the position is. People who've been here a very long time, people who've been here or associated with the district for not a long time, but now are here and part of this team. And I'm looking forward to see how this all comes together. I'm really, really, as Dr. Griffin said, I'm excited to see what's going to happen. It's awesome. So I'm really excited. Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. All right. Wonderful. Thank you for doing that, Dr. Griffin. Thank you for putting this all in place. It looks very nice, very pretty. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Danny, for slaving over a hot computer for so many hours. I don't think that works, but okay. All right. Discussion item 6B, proposed addition of regulation to board policy JHB, truancy. And that's going to be Mrs. Johansson.
Good evening, President Adler, governing board members, Superintendent Griffin, staff, and community members. We're bringing to you a regulation on truancy while we've had a practice, and of course we follow our policy JHB for truancy like any other school would do. We felt like this regulation will bring to our district the clarity and consistency across the level on how we actually handle when there are truant situations. Does anyone have any questions about the items that were posted or included in the? This will just make our operations a little bit more efficient. So that's the reason we're bringing this regulation. It's very common, and our neighbors have it, other school districts our size have it, and it'll just help us to make sure it's seamless.
So just real quick, just for the board, if they're not sure about this, regulations don't actually have to come to the board for approval. Policies do, but regulations don't. But we in our district have, as a practice, just done that, just so that, out of courtesy that the board knows all of the tools and regulations that the district is using in association with policy. So just so you know, again, that's why it's a discussion item and not a voting item, not an action item. But anyway, go right ahead.
Thank you for that explanation.
So I've read it and I understand it, but if you could maybe just give cliff notes to everyone and kind of like what was the catalyst here? I think maybe you've touched on that already, just to give clarity, but maybe just give some information, like what is this?
Absolutely. So
Thank you.
last month I brought to you some parent concerns data, and within that data, A few of the instances revolved around the front office and handling of attendance procedures and truancy. And so in investigating ways to mitigate that and be proactive this coming school year, we've been really taking a look at both policy JHB and then also the one right before it on attendance. I'm sorry, I don't have that in front of me. But what we realized is our attendance policy is very clear, and we have the ability to practice that policy very well with monitoring. We have some monitoring steps that we are going to make more clear to our families this year. Again, that's not the policy itself, it's just how we're monitoring that the policy is being followed. But when we evaluated for that and we looked at truancy, which is kind of a close neighbor of absence, we realized that we weren't consistent across the district in how we handled truancy and the effects that had on families. For example, we've sent families to truant probation that their student was in a car accident and we shouldn't, right? There has to be considerations for these types of scenarios where if you've had 18 absences because your parent is really ill with cancer or something of that nature, but you're still in good academic standing and whatnot. We really wanted to be able to take those cases and have a consistency across our district. And by adding this regulation, we felt like it was going to be a little bit more seamless to deploy out to our 9 sites to be sure that we're sending the right situations further.
Thank you, Kate.
You're welcome. Of course.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you very much, Kate.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, that was discussion item 6B. Moving on to discussion item 6C, update on status and timeline restructuring plan. Dr. Griffin.
I'm going to be excited that we're not going to have this item very much longer. So we're pleased to announce that we have successfully moved all items except for our permanent records, and those should be moved in the next couple of weeks. Sorry. This achievement would not have been possible without the incredible support we had a ton of Quad City Church volunteers. A special thanks to Kate Johansson for leading our project and making sure we kept everything on track and on time. Our maintenance and grounds team have been hard at work on numerous projects, preparing our buildings for these changes. Now they're double time booking to get things diligently focused and getting their usual summer projects up to date to ensure the sites are ready for our upcoming school year. In total, we've employed 86 staff members over the summer who have dedicated 2,384 hours moving, painting, and getting the sites prepared. The total amount for that was $71,932.27. Additionally, we spent another $9,550 on professional movers for some of the big items. That overall cost for this move was $81,482.27. Thank you to everyone who contributed to this successful move. Questions?
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, moving on to action item 7A, second reading of policy advisory 787 as presented by ASBA. This is the second reading on this policy, which is, bring it up so I can talk about it a little more succinctly.
It's where they added a little bit of AI to
AI,
the technology.
Right. AI, my favorite topic. Not. Board members, any questions or comments about this little addition to the policy? Okay. we will need a motion on this item.
I move to approve ASBA Policy Advisory 787 as presented by ASBA.
Second.
A motion by Mrs. Roth, a second by Mr. Ruald. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, item 7B, Lions Club Vision Screening Contract. And it says Liz Rushton, but she's not here, right?
Miss Kimberly Grant will be covering for Liz Rushton tonight.
Kimberly Grant stepping in. Pinch hitting.
Working? All right. Governing board members and all of you. I am pretend Liz Rushton, so I'm going to read like I am her because she wrote a letter to you. I would like to extend my sincerest apologies for not being able to attend the board meeting this evening. Unfortunately, but fortunately, I was able to attend my son and daughter-in-law's 3D ultrasound in Prescott, which prevented my participation. I deeply regret any inconvenience my absence may have caused. Despite my absence, I am thrilled to share some exciting news that I believe will greatly benefit Humboldt Unified and the families we serve. We would like to partner with the Lions Club to support us with our school vision screenings. This initiative is designed to provide essential eye care services to those in need, ensuring early detection and treatment of vision problems. The Lions of Yavapai are offering free vision screenings for students in pre-K through second grade and fourth grade. They will be using the Welch Allen Spot Vision Screener. The use of this vision screener has received widespread recognition as a highly valuable method of vision screening preschool and younger school children. And I'll add in, our schools do currently use that because the students don't have to know their shapes or their letters. It does a vision screening without them having to know those. This program supports early literacy development by identifying potential vision impediments. There are no special precautions and no physical contact is made with the child. Currently, the Lions Club of Yavapai County has four vision screening teams. There are 2 teams in Prescott, 1 team in Chino Valley, and 1 team in the Verde Valley. Each team is run by a local Lions Club. Thank you for your understanding and continued support. Should you have any questions or require additional information about the new partnership, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. And she would like to have Mountain View be the first that uses the Lion Club and partner with them because of the preschool with the special needs. There's going to be a high number that come in, so that will help Miss Rowe as she's supporting several schools with their preschool. So she's running wild, but it'll help her get those done. And then our Mountain View nurse to get them done since she has added students there.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Board members, questions? Ms. Walcott?
So recently with President Adler, I had the opportunity to attend the 4.0 banquet, which was put on by the Lions Club. So I got to hear a little bit about what they do, and they're such a wonderful organization. And they have top of the line, state of the art equipment. So this is a great opportunity to partner with somebody reputable in the vision community. I'm curious why they skip third grade. Does anybody else why pre-K?
It's a developmental thing. There's
that what it is?
requirements of them to be vision tested in certain grade levels. And for some reason it skips third.
I'm just curious what
Yeah.
the algorithm is there. But anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
I thought that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. Fourth. Okay.
Of course, if a parent calls and says, hey, my student's struggling with their vision, or a teacher notices it, we don't say, no, you're in third grade, we're not going to do it.
Yeah.
We do
Wait
make
till
sure
they
they get it checked, but
That
if
makes
somebody
sense.
notices something, but as a whole, the whole grade level, no, they don't get tested.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Any other questions, comments?
No, I just have a question about our screen here. In the subject area, it says pre-K through fourth, but then in the contract, it says the pre-K through second and then fourth. Does that matter when we're approving it, or? Because the contract itself says what Ms. Rushton wrote, but
I noticed that too.
on our
think as long as the contract says what they're actually going to do, I think we're fine.
Okay.
The transmittal, right, doesn't match it exactly, but yeah, that's fine. The contract will be what we sign with the Lions, so looks good to me. But thank you for pointing that out. Okay, excuse me. So board members, we'll need a motion on this item. It is an action item.
Okay, I'm gonna wing it.
Yep.
There's.
Yep.
Okay, I move to approve the Lions Club vision screening contract as presented. Good enough?
Second,
That works.
good, yeah,
We have a motion by Mrs. Wolcott.
second.
We have a second by Mrs. Roth. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Well done. All right, moving on. Action item 7C, request to approve the updated teacher performance system for HUSD teacher evaluations. Dr. Griffin.
All right, I'm going to try not to stumble through this one. I wanted to show you the changes and updates that we made to this document. So back in August of 2022, this school board approved using the Marzano evaluation tool for teacher evaluations, and that part counts for 55% of their total evaluation system. This document shows where the 55% is, where the 35% is, and the 10% where we get those results from. So I needed to update this document. So first of all, it aligned with Marzano, changing just some things like adding numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then also changing language from from classroom to grade level. So you'll see on this page here, it goes from classroom to grade level, classroom to grade level. The 1, 2, 3, and 4 were added because that's how we are able to put that into eye observation, and that's how it's calculated. It's based on a 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Those are.
Right in blue, right on top there. So that was added.
So those are like rating scales?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, and 4?
Yes.
Okay.
So you've got ineffective, developing, effective, and highly effective.
Okay.
And a 1 would be ineffective, a 2 would be developing, 3 effective,
Right.
4 highly effective. Added the numbers. We had to change it used to be a percentage of each one, and with the eye observation tool, you just put whether or not they're a 3 or a 2 in their overall score.
How do you determine that?
The 1, 2, or 3, or 4?
Yeah, so I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's
I
fine.
don't know if
So
now's a good
the
time to
actual evaluation tool has elements, and it has ratings for where you're at with a 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's a lot more detailed,
Okay.
which is also in this document.
I think she was asking, forgive me if I'm
No,
like
go ahead.
stepping on your toes, but I think she's asking how you average it out for the total. Is
Yeah.
that what-
Yeah.
The system does it.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you fill it in and the system,
This part is actually done in our
A
eye
program.
observation. This is just showing you where each element is.
okay, and then you take this information, put it into a software,
Mhm.
and then the system at the end says, okay, based on everything you entered, it's that person is 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Yes.
Okay.
Classroom to grade level. So all of that other stuff hasn't changed. And so we had to add the 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I put it in blue. It was what had already existed there. This part is the going from the classroom to grade level. One of the things that leadership discussed is when our Galileo scores, when students come in at the beginning of the year proficiency and the end of the year proficiency, when you base that on Galileo, the test tests what you should know by the end of the year. And so the proficiency, of course, is going to go up because the beginning of the year to the end of the year. So what we're asking is that whatever the kids come in as proficient, so let's say our fourth graders go into fifth grade as 50% proficient, this is asking that we increase from that 50%.
Okay.
I'm just letting you digest
Yeah.
for a second because that's,
Okay.
yeah. So I want to make sure that we're at least maintaining proficiency for the year and increasing proficiency with the groups. And the way that it was set up before wasn't really clear on how to keep kids proficient.
Is it realistic though, what you're doing? Is it a goal that is attainable or is it a goal that is unattainable? Like, is it, I'm just asking as a
Yep.
teacher, am I going into the classroom stressing out because I have these fourth graders that are testing at this percent and my responsibility is to grow them?
Sure.
And so I know that my evaluation is supposed to go X percent, whatever. Is this attainable or is it like,
I expect that we're able to
okay,
maintain proficiency at the very
Okay.
least. And
Okay.
that's basically what this is saying,
Okay.
is that
got it,
if I get a group of kids at the beginning of the year and they're 50% proficient,
right.
then a year's growth at the end of that, they should still be 50%
Got it.
proficient
Okay.
after a year of
Okay.
teaching.
All
And
right.
if I were to make 10% growth, that's a big growth, that's a big ask. In a class of 30, that's 3 kids that you're making more than a year's growth with.
Got it.
So,
Okay.
yep. And again, this tool isn't attached to their classroom site fund. So there isn't a monetary connection with this.
No, but it's still attached to, as a professional, I
Mhm.
mean, I know as a professional, if I have goals, I want them to be attainable.
Correct.
And when I go for an evaluation with my supervisor or boss, and I create goals for the following year, I make sure that they're not absurd, you know?
Correct.
I want them to be attainable. So I'm just
No,
asking.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Can I say
yes.
something? So I think a goal of being stagnant is not a goal at all. So I think expecting some sort of growth is a good thing. So I think this is wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not saying that it's not.
I
I just
didn't-
wondered, I just was trying to understand how that 50% at the end and the beginning, I just didn't understand.
Mhm.
So now I understand.
No, it will be a shift in thinking, and I think it's the step in the right direction. And yeah, I'm actually kind of excited about. So this part is that 35%. So the 55% is the Marzano evaluation tool. This is that that grade level goal, and they might have 2 or 3 in there, and this is how they reach that goal. And then the 10% is usually a school-wide goal. So again, the blue is just adding the numbers to it. Just changing a little of the language. And that's it.
How do the teachers feel about these changes?
So this hasn't been rolled out to teachers yet. This has only been talked about with leadership.
How do you think they're going to feel about all of it?
I honestly, what has happened over the last 5 years is that we haven't done they've been held harmless for the classroom level part and the school level part of their goals. And so bringing back that accountability that's attached to student achievement is really important.
I agree.
And
totally.
that's something that we haven't been doing. So it's probably going to be a little bit uncomfortable, but we've done it before. And so it's just remembering, oh yeah, this is how we used to do things. And we'll navigate it.
Right. I think it's a great thing because I think it helps people to really focus on what they need to do to reach those goals and, have a roadmap to get there. And so they know where they're going to really focus on how to do it. There's a lot going on in a classroom. I think this might help some teachers to, I don't know, to better focus on what needs to be taken care of, probably. I don't know how I'm saying it. Sorry.
Yeah, Mr. Dahl likes to say, with high levels of expectation becomes high levels of support. And with Project Momentum and also with our assistant principals, we will be able to provide a lot of support for our teachers. And
That's
that's really our goal, because that's the deciding factor in the classroom.
Our kids deserve that.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that goes to what, I had mentioned before about principals being able to be instructional leaders at their sites, and so, do you think that adding back in, again, a more attention to the school-wide goals and the class and the grade level goals changes the way of thinking as far as working together as a team more?
That's a great question, and that's really why we as a leadership team decided to go from classroom to grade level, because with Project Momentum, we're really going to be focused on that collective efficacy, which means those PLC teams where teachers are working together, planning together, really deciding like how to improve instruction for student achievement. Like those conversations will be around data, and making a grade level goal really ensures that there's some skin in the game with making sure that we're all working together
Yeah.
for moving students forward.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody's accountable to be a part of that. Yeah. I like it.
How often will the evaluations be? Is it like beginning of the year, end of the year, or beginning, middle, end?
So there is a cycle. We as a leadership team, there are expectations for weekly walkthrough observations, but as far as let me get to it, sorry if I'm making you dizzy. There's a timeline. So as far as the formal evaluation where you have to be in there from beginning to the end of the lesson, there's a pre-conference and a post-conference. Those, if you're a brand new teacher, a first through third year teacher, those happen twice a year, one before the end of December and one the second half of the year. If you're 4 years and past in the district, then you're able to do once a year. And most of the principals try to get those done before March.
Okay.
I just want to say thank you for putting it in red line.
Yeah.
I think red line is my best friend, so thank you for taking the time to
I'm
do
sorry
that.
you didn't have that beforehand. So,
But you
yeah.
presented it perfectly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Great presentation. Board members, if there are no further questions, this is an action item.
I move to approve the updated teacher performance system for Humboldt Unified School District as presented.
I'll second.
A motion, excuse me, motion by Ms. Walcott, a second by Mrs. Mazzone, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Great, thank you, great job. Moving on to item 7D, addition of FTE for 2 classroom coach positions. Mr. Brett Dahl.
Good evening, President Adler, members of the board, our leadership team and audience. Happy evening. So in preparation for the school year 24-25, we're requesting approval of 2 classroom coach positions at Bradshaw Mountain High School. I'm going to take just a second to describe what each of them are. The Bears Den classroom coach positions. So if you're familiar with the kind of levels of support at the high school, this is the first level. When a kiddo initially gets behind in credits, this is the first level of support. So we pay through Edgenuity, an online platform where they can make up that coursework. And we have provided a couple of different avenues in the past. For the last 2 years, we've actually used an ESSER-funded teaching position. As we all know, ESSER is going away quickly. quickly. And prior to that, we've always used overload contracts for the teachers that are already in the building to cover those classes. There's a couple of issues with that. One, they lose that valuable prep time, right? That time to collaborate with their peers and also to just get a break in their day and take care of themselves and get prepared for really great instruction. The other aspect of that is we pay a fifth of their contract in overloads, and that becomes pretty expensive. We have 6 overload classes. Mr. Tannehill can it depends on which teachers and what their initial contract is, what that 1/5 looks like. But ultimately, it's equivalent to at least a teacher's salary. So there's a little background to it. The district has paid it out as overloads prior to COVID and ESSER, so that was coming out of M&O. Moving it to a classified position is actually a cost savings from both the models that we've used in the past. We did use ESSER funding for the last couple of years, like I mentioned, but making it a classified position is cheaper than going the route of taking away prep times for teachers, overloading them. They're very well named. They overload people. And remember, the instruction is provided via Edgenuity, and so that teacher doesn't have to actually have to provide the initial instruction. So that's the Bears Den position. You want me to pause and see if you have any questions regarding that before I move to the next one?
Board members, questions about that?
This might be a question for the end, but do we have somebody in that position right now?
Not currently, no.
Okay.
The way it's written here, we had someone in the past who was in that teaching position through ESSER. They have moved to a different teaching position, so no.
Thank you.
Yep.
I I have a question. What, on average, how many kids are in the Bears Den?
Mr. Bradshaw, I'm going to throw out a number here. I would anticipate probably, or whomever, 30. Accurate?
Yeah, about 20 to 30. Then it started the year, continued to make it up last year. As soon as they can get through, it was great.
Okay, so it's not like they trickle in, it's a class. Got it.
One of the things that I think is all of our goals, and I'm just going to lump them in with me because it was one of my goals when I was there, is that we get to a point where we flip that, where we're actually able to offer learning opportunities for kids that are outside just our general schedule. I put a couple of examples in there, taking German, taking Mandarin, taking foreign languages and a variety of other things where we're not just using it for kids who have fallen behind in credits, because that means we're already behind the 8 ball. Thus, a kid's learning is behind the 8 ball. So,
Right.
Great questions. Anything else?
Not so far.
Okay. Ready for me to move on to the next one. So this next one, we know teachers have 6 times more impact than all other educational variables combined, right? It is the people in the room that make the difference. That's Linda Darling-Hammond out of Stanford. I wish Dr. D was here because I cited my source. She'd be proud of me. So we know that is the key to good education, right? Here we are, school starts in 3 weeks from today. That's right. So it's coming up really quickly. We still have a few sections that we haven't been able to hire in the foreign language realm. It's actually, Mr. Bradshaw made another step in the right direction. Mr. Bradshaw and his team have made a step in the right direction. 3 years ago, we couldn't hire 3 foreign language teachers. Last year it was 2. This year it's only 1 position. I say all of that to say, we know that we'd rather have teachers in the classroom, right? Here we are 3 weeks out. Elevate K-12 provides highly qualified educators via an online platform. This classroom coach position, it goes along with that so that we have an adult in the classroom with those kids. They're able to support their learning, monitor behaviors, that sort of thing. And we have had this position in the past. We were able to pay for it out of ESSER in the past. So this combination of Elevate K-12 and Classroom Coach is ultimately in place of what we would like to have a teacher in the room, but right now we haven't been able to hire that position. Any questions on that?
I have a question. I understand the concept and I'm supportive of it, but do the coaches for at least the language courses, should they be at least a little bit bilingual or well-versed in the language, just to be able to kind of guide the kids? Or does K-12, the Elevate K-12, are you able to communicate with the teacher online or, so
Yep.
kind of getting that instruction that way? My question makes sense.
I think it's a great question, actually.
Or can we hire 2 coaching positions, one for sign language, one, and not certified teacher, but just somebody in there to be a guide? And if the kids have any questions, they can kind of reach out a little bit.
Yeah, so thank you. I would love to respond to that because I worked with Elevate K-12 really closely. So remember, the teacher, and it is virtual, it's live, right? So you can raise your hand, they can see you. They send us cameras, they send all of the virtual equipment. It doesn't replace a person, but they are a highly qualified foreign language teacher. So that checks a box, but it's also good for learning, right? We actually have had people who were bilingual in those classrooms in the past. Do I think that helped? Potentially, absolutely. So it's one of those things that we might not have control over. However, Elevate K-12 works really well with us. When we first started, I'm like, my classroom coaches need time to work with your teachers. We need to create some collaborative time. We do it on Wednesdays. You need to make your teachers have time on Wednesdays where we collaborate. So part of your question was, can they communicate with them? They can do that live in class, but we also created a system where they collaborate and say, what's tomorrow going to look like? Where are our kids at? You don't see it, but maybe Brett's struggling in the back and he never raises his hand. They have an opportunity to really work collaboratively. That was a lot. I've been talking a lot. Thank you.
No, thank you. That was my only snag with that is, it'd be beneficial to have somebody who understood the language. So thank you.
All right. Yeah, Ms. Roth.
So I just wanted to say thank you for bringing both of these. I think it's a good solution. As far as the Elevate K-12, I really appreciate that it's a live person teaching. I've been in many schools where they use like Duolingo and things and programs like that. And I've watched as I'm in the library, and it's pretty ineffective because it's not live. It's very it's like it's just, I don't know how to explain it, but it's a good program. I'm not saying it's not. It's just different. It's not a teacher teaching. It's not that. Anyway, so I appreciate that this is a live person doing it. So and to have a monitor in the room to keep kids on task for that is important. So I think it's a good solution.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's a great solution, I think, really, because one way or the other, we want to make sure we continue to offer these opportunities. And like you said before, at one point we were doing overloads, but this is more effective and actually costs less, right?
Yep.
So it seems kind of like that's the thing to do. And we knew that when ESSER went away, there'd be a few of these things happening here and there. So yeah, it seems reasonable to me. And they're both great programs. So, and luckily, like you said, we're heading in the right direction as far as actually having all of our positions. So, okay, board members, if any other questions, if not, it's an action item.
I'll move to approve the added FTE for 2 classroom coach positions as presented.
I'll second.
A motion by Mrs. Roth, second by Mrs. Mazzone. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dahl. And thank you for the really good explanation in the transmittal. Item 7E, Humboldt Unified School District expenditure budget for the 2024-25 school year. Mr. Tannehill.
Thank you, Mr. President. We received our 2% inflationary dollars, which by law from past lawsuits we're supposed to receive. I think it's worth noting that inflation during that time period was probably closer to like 3.8%. But we received that. There was fear that we would receive the 2% and we would get cut in other areas like DAA or different things like that. That didn't happen, and we're grateful. And I'll gladly answer any questions. It's the same numbers as what was presented at the June 20th.
Hey, board members, same numbers as we just looked at a few weeks ago. So, any questions? We'll need a motion.
I move to approve the adoption of the Humboldt Unified School District expenditure budget for the 2024-2025 school year.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Roth, second by Mr. Ruald. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, action item 7F, update on human resources specialist pay. Mr. Dahl, back again.
Good evening. I think as a leadership team really appreciate the opportunity that you provide us to really fine tune the things that we're trying to accomplish in the district. And one of those things, as we constantly look at, have we placed people right, level changes. I know that prior to the year I got here, did a lot of level adjustment. And I think that what comes with that is there's going to be a couple of adjustments that we have to do in order to fine tune it. We would like to recommend that the human resources specialist position be moved from level 5 to level 7. In looking at the duties that this position requires, they align similarly with positions that are under level 7 currently. We've also refined the job description, see attached, to align with the duties required by the position, including conducting introductory district trainings alongside payroll and benefits, coordinating staff updates with payroll and benefits, coordinating and processing professional development advancement for classified staff, and assisting with updating job descriptions, to name a few. We looked at perhaps changing the name of the position. I believe it's very accurate. I think this position very much is a specialist. They work with our classified employees that are coming in and out of the district. We know that there's turnover in those positions. We also know that there are more of those positions than certified positions in our district. This person does all of the trainings, all of the onboardings, offboardings, exit interviews, trainings to make sure they know our systems. I think that if someone were to go back when it was created and had all of the knowledge that we have now, what that person does, it would have started at level 7. So I thought it was named very appropriately, to be honest. I'll take any questions that you might have regarding that request.
Board members.
I think this is extremely appropriate, and I wholeheartedly agree.
Anyone else? Yeah, I really appreciate that, that you and the team are going back over some of these things to, sort of put things in the proper places and maybe correct a few things that maybe weren't properly aligned before for whatever reason. And it just, it takes time and effort to look back and with a critical eye at those kinds of things. So appreciate that. It really is good, and it values our employees.
I want to add, I appreciate you saying that, Rich, and I just want to add that over the years, it's really interesting to see how we have moved towards this level of really being really cognizant of what people do, but really try so hard to every penny, as many pennies as we have can put together to really provide all levels, not just certified, but really try to, and I've said this for a long, long time, I think our classified need more pennies. Just keep pushing the pennies that way. So, I really think
This is a step in that direction.
it's a good, yeah. So I appreciate you recognizing that in this position and others. So
Thank you. We honestly appreciate the open, transparent piece that we feel comfortable in looking through those things and bringing them to you. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. Any other questions or comments or a motion?
I would gladly move to approve the updated human resource specialist pay from level 5 to level 7 as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Roth, second by Mrs. Walcott. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, so for folks in our audience, we've flipped the order tonight again because we have an executive session coming up. So I'm going to do the announcements now. You're certainly welcome to stick around if you'd like to. We will come back out for an action item after the executive session, but I'm not sure how long that would be exactly. So with that said, our announcements are next regular board meeting is August 15th. Then after that, we have September 19th and October 17th. Those are regular meetings right here in the Vista room. Okay. We're on item 9A. And board members, I'll need a motion.
I move to move the meeting to executive session pursuant to ARS 38431.03A1 personnel to discuss renewal of Superintendent Griffin's contract for 3 years.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Roald, second by Ms. Walcott. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you.
saw you with the pen.
Okay.
And then
Truly.
All right. We are back in open session and we are on action item 10A, discussion and possible action regarding the renewal of Superintendent Griffin's contract for the term of 3 years. We had a great conversation in executive session with Superintendent Griffin and the board, and the contract that we hopefully are about to approve has been vetted by our attorney, and as it stands, and that's what we're going to vote on. So with that being said, I will need a motion on the contract for Superintendent Griffin.
I'll make a motion, but before do you mind if I say something about the contract?
Oh, you sure can.
I just want to say that I think it's very well deserved. I think so much has been done this last year that I was shocked pleasantly. I couldn't believe how aggressive you wanted to be and how much you got done. And I think the main thing with this contract, I think it's going to give this board is going to look very different come next year. And I think this will give the district stability so that those new board members can work together and you guys can all learn to work together without having to worry about going through another superintendent search. So I think this will really give that stability to help you guys really be successful as a board, which I'm sure you will be. So that being said,
Anyone else want to say anything? I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah, anything.
before you do that. Thank you for saying that, Paul. And I want to just sort of echo that sentiment. Thank you for doing that. It's really important for a district to have a strong leadership and stability and continuity. And it's been difficult at times here to have that. By the way, this is doing the contract now is a standard practice in school districts. As it stands, if we weren't going to do a contract right now, then the superintendent would be what we would consider to be a lame duck superintendent. There wouldn't be a contract in place. That's the term, that's what it comes to. Does that sound really bad? But that's kind of what it's called. That's what it would be.
Nancy's gonna quote you on
And
that.
so we don't want to ever be in that situation. If we're happy with the superintendent's performance, and this board has said that they are, and I certainly am, then the thing to do is reward the superintendent with a contract, and preferably of 3 years, which is the standard sort of practice in Arizona school districts. So with that.
May I say
Yes.
something also? I want to just go on record that I'm not for this because of status quo or because it's the standard thing that we've done or because I'm concerned about continuity with the board or that stability. I think you're doing a good job. So I think that's really important to go on record that I think you're doing a great job as a superintendent, and that's why we want you to stick around.
I
As
echo that.
opposed to
Yeah,
status quo.
I echo that. That was great. Good job.
That is the primary reason. Thank you. Okay, anything else? Anybody else? All right.
So I move to approve the new contract for Superintendent Griffin for 3 years with a base salary of $159,650 with a 6% performance pay.
I'll second.
With the,
Oh, sorry.
with the adjustments as discussed in our session.
And I will second.
I have a motion by Mr. Rule, a second by Mrs. Roth. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, board members, for that. Thank you, Dr. Griffin. Motion to
I
adjourn?
move that we adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay.